Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Getty Western Podcast. This is season 3, episode 19, overall number 84. We're going to discuss several topics today. One is the history of the spaghetti westerns, a film called Juanito, which I knew about but just discovered that it was on YouTube and watched the whole thing this past week, so we'll cover it. It's nothing earth shattering, but it's one of the early ones. Then we'll talk about whatever became of Lincoln Tate. The featured artist this week is Who Are Those Guys? Rick Boyd. Film of the week is The Big Gun Down. We have the CD of the week. We have Book of the Week, Autograph of the Week. We'll finish with the News of the Week. So let's get started and we'll talk about Juanito. Okay, Juanito is a 1959 Spanish, West German, says Argentinian, but I think it's Austrian film co-production, directed by Fernando Palacios. Story and screenplay is by Hans Bertram Wolf Neumeister. Cinematography is by Ricardo Torres in Agfacolor and Fujicolor. Music is by Augusto Alguero. The main characters and actors are Pablito Calvo plays Juanito Meza. Hans von Borsody plays Tom. George Thaumalia plays Patty. Sabine Bethman plays Carmencita Cuesta. Pilar Cancino plays Luisa. And then some more familiar names in the genre that appear are Marco Davo plays General Vargas. Antonio Casas plays President Meza. Alfredo Mayo plays Colonel Cuesta. Felix Fernandez plays Dr. Agapito. Tomas Blanco plays a general. Jose Manuel Martin, one of our favorites, plays Carras in a small role. And Jose Sepulveda as an officer. Also somewhere in here is Angel Alvarez, who goes uncredited as a character. Anyways, this is a part revolutionary film, part Mexican ranchero film, part love story, part children's film. The film takes place in 1959 during another Mexican Revolution. Juanito, played by Pablito Calvo, the president of Mexico's son, is being escorted by his governess to the train station to escape the revolution, which has reached Mexico City. He ends up in the hands of a German trapper named Tom, played by Hans von Borsody, when the governess is killed. Taken to Tom's cabin in the mountains by train, they join Tom's partner, Patty, played by George Thaumalia. The threesome get along fine until they attend a fiesta in the local town and Patty discovers wanted posters for Juanito's return. To keep him safe, they return to the cabinet in solitude. Then two women, Carmencita, played by Sabine Bethman, and Luisa, played by Pilar Cancino, arrive when their motorboat develops problems on the lake below the cabin. The women hook up the two trappers for a picnic, and then they spend the night, leave the following morning after Tom is able to repair the motor. Carmencita is the daughter of Colonel Cuesta of the Mexican Army, and when she returns home, she sees a poster for Juanito and rides to Tom's cabin and tells him that the revolutionaries are thought to have kidnapped the boy for ransom. Tom tells her what really happened, but before he can return Juanito, he becomes ill. Tom rides to a doctor who arrives and leaves some medicine. The revolutionaries had followed Carmencita and now know where the boy is. They kidnap him and the army is sent after them. The boy is rescued but now is in a coma. He's taken home and Tom and Patty are placed in prison. Tom had carved a canoe for Juanito, and when it is given to him, he comes out of the coma. He tells his father what really happened, and Tom and Patty are released. After Juanito recovers, he's allowed to spend time with his new friends, and they drive off. Like I said, I watched this film on YouTube. It's a great print, but not being completely familiar with the language, I don't know why the trappers didn't return Juanito to his home when they saw the wanted poster and realized who he was. Why Juanito would trust the pair is also a mystery to me, since they're complete strangers. Filmed in northern Spain, but no easily recognizable locations. This is a typical film of the period, and near the end of the 1950s, a station wagon and a 1959 Chevrolet appear in the film, ruining what appeared to be a film about the 1910 Mexican Revolution. Otherwise, the film has all the appearances of a Western revolutionary film. The film has plenty of military fighting scenes in the beginning, and then it turns to a Disney wilderness film before 3 songs pop up in the middle of the film during the development of a love interest between the couples. 10-year-old Juanito is the central character of the film, so it's as much a children's film as anything else. The acting is decent, and it's fun to pick out the many Spanish actors who will become regulars to the genre just 5 years later. Like I said, it's available on YouTube, but it's in Spanish only. We'll get into some of the biographies of the main actors. Juanito Mesa is played by Pablito Calvo. Pablito Calvo Hidalgo was born on March 16, 1948 in Madrid. He found international success in the film Marcelino Pan y Vino, The Miracle of Marcelino, where he won a Cannes Film Festival Award in 1955 and became Spain's most famous child actor along with Joselito. He made only 8 films between 1955 and 1962. He retired from acting at the age of 16 to become an industrial engineer. Later, he would work in tourism, promoting buildings in Torreviejo. Calvo sang in a few films, but his singing voice was always dubbed on screen in Spain by a woman, Matilda Villarino. He died in Alicante, Spain on February 1, 2000 as the result of a brain aneurysm at the age of 51. Next we have Tom, played by Hans von Borsody. Born in Vienna, Austria on September 20, 1929 into an aristocratic family of Hungarian descent. His father, Edward, was a film director, his mother a concert pianist. His uncle, Julius, was a set designer. His daughter, Suzanne, is an actress. His family moved to Berlin and obtained German citizenship. Hans studied acting at the Max Reinhardt Seminar in Vienna from 1950 to 1952. He would go on to appear in just over 100 films and TV appearances from 1955 to 2012. Hans appeared in one other Euro-Western, 1964's Buffalo Bill, Hero of the Far West as Captain George Hunter. He was married 4 times and had 2 children. Von Borsody died in Berlin on November 4, 2013 from lung cancer at the age of 84. Next we have Patty, who is played by George Thamalia. I'm not familiar with this actor. He was born George Valentin Thamalia on February 14, 1915 in Katowice, Poland. He appeared in about 159 film and TV productions between 1939 and 2000 and was widely known in Germany for his comedic roles. George was also a voice dubber in the German voice of Jack Lemmon. He was used in Juanito for comedy relief, but not over the top. George died in Starnberg, Bavaria, Germany on August 25, 1999. Then we have Carmencita Cuesta, who is played by Sadine Bethman. Bethman was born in Tilsit, East Prussia on October 25, 1931. She was a model, film, and TV actress. She first appeared in the 1956 movie Waldwinter and was originally cast in the role of Virinia in Spartacus, but was replaced by Gene Simmons when the original director, Anthony Mann, resigned and was replaced by Stanley Kubrick. She appeared in one other Europe Western, The Man from Oklahoma, also known as Oklahoma John with Rick Horn. Sabine died in Berlin on November 8, 2021 at the age of 92. Then we have Luisa, played by Pilar Cancino. Pilar Cancino Romero was born in Sevilla, Spain on January 18, 1937. She is a cousin of actress Rita Hayworth. Her film career began in 1957, and she'd go on to appear in 29 films, with her last appearance in 1991. Some of you Peplum or Sword and Sandal fans may remember her as Estella, the Gypsy Queen, in 1963's Hercules and the Masked Rider. She was married to assistant director Antonio Foss. Pilar also appeared in the 1968 Euro Western Tierra Brava as Mrs. Rojas. She's still with us. Okay, now we turn to Whatever Became of. Okay, this week's feature, Whatever Became of, is Lincoln Tate. I was always curious on who Lincoln Tate was because I was sure that wasn't his real name, but I ended up with dead ends for a long time. Finding out he died in Woodland Hills, which is the home of the Screen Actors Old Age Home, I wrote them to see if they had any Lincoln Tate registered there. And I got a reply back saying no, they had no one with that name registered as an attendee or resident. So I hit another dead end. Finally, I saw an article about his daughter, who's a air traffic controller in Oregon. So I finally was able to piece together this biography. Lincoln Tate was born James Harmon Kennelly in Harris County, Texas on December 1st, 1934. He was a former Marine and went on to appear in more than 20 films from 1965 to 1988. He was good friends with actress Sharon Tate and used the stage name of Lincoln Tate in her memory and honor. After several minor roles in American films and television series, he moved to Italy where he starred or co-starred in 8 spaghetti westerns. He also was to appear in 4 more that were either never made or never completed. He also was to appear in 4 more, he also returned to the United States in the mid-1970s for several roles, including playing General George Armstrong Custer in 1981's The Legend of the Lone Ranger. His final film appearance being in Grotesque 1988, where he is also credited as associate producer and assistant director. Tate co-founded Harlandale Productions with Renata Harris and Perry Dell. His wife's name was Anita, whom he married in 1981. The couple divorced in 1983, but not before they had a daughter named Carly Kennelly, born in 1982, and she is a traffic reporter for Portland, Oregon TV station KOIN. He also had another daughter, Charmaine, from a previous relationship. Lincoln Tate died in Woodland Hills, California of lymphoma on December 16, 2001. His spaghetti westerns are Bastard Go and Kill, 1971. He plays Gringo or Roger. Then he was to appear in Fill My Grave with Gold in 1971, but it was never completed. He pops up and his name was Pot. They called him Allegria in 71 as Steve. Holy Water Joe in 71 as Aqua Santa Joe or Holy Water Joe. Also that year he plays in Judge Them Quickly, Hang Them High and Bury Them Deep, but that was never made. Also Nevada Kid in 71, that film was never made. Savage Guns in 71 as Lincoln Tate, plays basically himself. In 72 he plays in Gunman and the Holy Ghost as Powers or Solitaire. 72 The Return of Hallelujah as Archie. 73 On the Third Day Arrived the Crow as Lincoln Kennedy or Kennelly or Connolly. 73 The Bastard from Mexico, but that film was never made. And finally, he ends his spaghetti career as a man in 1973 in For a Book of Dollars. Now we'll turn to our feature actor of the week, Rick Boyd. Okay, Rick Boydo, or Federico Boydo, was born in Nove Ligure, Piedmont, Italy on January 8, 1938. Some sources say 1940, but his obit says 38. He was one of the premier villains and most recognizable faces of the genre. He appeared in the sadistic fotonovellos and related his experiences in the film the Biocolical Supercriminal. Under his real name, he made his film debut as an uncredited stuntman during the peplum sword and sandal boom in the late 1950s. At the age of 25, he made his acting debut as Tex in 1964's Lost Treasure of the Aztecs. He'd go on to appear in over 65 films and TV appearances as an actor and stuntman, 42 of which were westerns. Other than westerns, he appeared in several horror films and spy films, including Planet of the Vampires 65, Danger Diabolik 68, Spirits of the Dead 68, and spy films such as Superfly TNT in 73. He apparently even dabbed in porno films under the pseudonym Big Boyd. We know him best as Rick Boyd, and he specialized in playing psycho or deranged gunmen. Probably his biggest role was as Roger Pratt, the gang leader in 1968's And for a Roof, A Sky Full of Stars. Throughout his film career, he used a variety of screen names, such as Rico Boydo, Rich Boyd, Rick Boyd again as R-I-K Boyd, Rick Boyd, R-Y-C-K Boyd. Rick dreamed of working as an actor in America, but that dream was never realized. When he wasn't acting, he was a screenwriter, poet, and artist. In 2011, he wrote a book, The Truth About the Death of Mussolini, Views from a Child. He was awarded a La Padrina de Oro for lifetime achievement. John Delaney told me he remembers Rick selling his artwork to tourists in the Piazza Novana. Rick died in Ostia, Rome, Italy on October 7, 2014. He was 76 years old. His films are too many to mention, but I'll go over a few of the highlights of his best films. Hallelujah for Django in 66 as a Jarrett henchman. 67 in Chimango, El Tigre henchman. 67 Face to Face as the sheriff of Purgatory City. 67 as Steve Wilkins in Run Man Run. 67 as Hal Brady in The Ruthless Four. Ace High in 68, he appears as Foster. I Want Him Dead in 68, he appears as Steve. 68, he was in Once Upon a Time in the West as the man at the way station. 1970, he plays Gerald in Adios Sabata. 70 also finds him playing Jim Piggott in Have a Nice Funeral, My Friend. Also as Boyda in 70, Roy Coyle and Winchester Jack. 71 again in Holy Water Joe, he plays a gunman. And in Return of Sabata 71, he plays McClintock henchman. 72, he pops up as Blondie in Jesse and Lester, Two Brothers in a Place Called Trinity. 73, he plays up in Shanghai Joe as Slim, and in 76, he pops up as Keith in Apache Woman. His last film was 68's porno-erotic western. We don't even know if he knows he was in that film. He's a rapist in that film. Okay, now we continue with the film of the week. Okay, film of the week is one of the best of the genre. It's The Big Gun Down. Known in Italy as La Resa de Conte. Spanish title is El Jacón y la Presa. It's made in 66 by PEA, P-E-A, and Tullio De Micheli out of Madrid. Producers were Alberto Grimaldi and Tullio De Micheli. Director was the great Sergio Solima. Story was by Fernando Morandi and Franco Salinas. Screenplay was by Tullio De Micheli, Sergio Donati, and Sergio Solima. Cinematography was by Carlo Carlini. It's in Technicolor and Technoscope. And the main theme songs were Somewhere and Run Man Run, sung by Christy, real name Maria Brancucci, who just passed away a month or so ago. The main actors are Lee Van Cleef, who plays Jonathan Colorado Corbett, Tomas Milian as Manuel Cuchillo Sanchez, Walter Barnes plays Broxton, Gerard Herder plays Baron von Schulenburg. Also popping up is Fernando Sancho as Captain Segura, Benito Stefanelli as Jess, Roberto Camardiel as Sheriff Jellicoe, Antonio Casas as Brother Smith and Wesson, Jose Torres as Paco Molinas, Nello Pasafini as Hondo, Lorenzo Robredo as Dave, and the ranch hands of the widow is a great cast of Frank Brana, Antonio Molino Rojo, Luis Barbu, and Fernando Bilbao, along with the previous mentioned Benito Stefanelli. Okay, the story goes as possessing a reputation for bringing criminals to justice, ready to retire bounty hunter Jonathan Corbett, played by Lee Van Cleef, the ex-sheriff of Rock Springs, is summoned to a party by a Texas railroad tycoon by the name of Broxton, played by Walter Barnes, whose daughter is getting married. Broxton plants the seed that Corbett should consider a run for the Senate, but not before doing one last bounty hunt. Broxton offers Corbett his political backing in exchange for tracking down a 12-year-old girl's accused rapist and murderer, who goes by the name of Cuchillo, played by Tomas Milian, a Mexican who is fleeing back to his native land. Cuchillo, which means the knife in Spanish, is the rascal's weapon of choice. Corbett expects it to be easy, even offering to do it as a wedding gift. Corbett sets out in pursuit of Cuchillo, who is not as dumb as he appears and who is rather crafty at vexing Corbett at every turn. As time passes and Corbett fails to get his man, Broxton turns to an Austrian, the Baron, played by Gerard Herder, who prides himself on being the fastest draw of any gun with a gun and the best shot in Austria, to settle scores with Cuchillo and, if necessary, with Corbett as well. Like I said, this is one of the best non-Leone films of the genre, and usually it ranks in most fans' top 5. It was filmed in Almeria, Spain. The production values are top-notch. The acting and direction are spot on, and the score by Maestro Ennio Morricone is one of his best. Try and see this in the complete or director's version, where we see Roberto Camardiel as Sheriff Jellicoe, who gives us an insight into Corbett's personality, and Brother Smith and Wesson scene, which is usually missing. These scenes show Corbett as a multidimensional figure, as is Cuchillo in his scene with his wife. Van Cleef was mistakenly edited as the Ugly in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which was supposed to be Eli Wallach, so the poster art for the big gun down refers to him as Mr. Ugly. Apparently, when Corbett leaves the widow's ranch, a scene had to be reshot several times as Lee Van Cleef's horse was sexually aroused. The widow's ranch is located at the same location Blondie saves Tuco from the bounty hunters and then turns him in for the reward. The location is Manzanares El Real, and this small rock-sheltered valley appears in many spaghetti westerns. The ranch owner's house is El Romeral and located in San Jose, Spain. Some of the biographies on the main actors are Lee Van Cleef, whose real name is Clarence Van Cleef, 1925 to 1989. Jay and I did an entire episode on him, number 25. Then we have Manuel Cuchillo Sanchez, played by Tomas Milian, who was born Thomas Quinton Rodriguez Verona Milian Salinas de la Fe Alvarez de la Campa. That's a mouthful. 1933 to 2017. Jay and I did an entire episode on him also, number 42. Then we have Broxton, played by my friend Walter Barnes. Walter Barnes was born in Parkersburg, West Virginia on January 26, 1918. He was an All-American football player at LSU, which is Louisiana State University, and an All-Pro football player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He appeared on a local Philadelphia TV station, Western, called Action in the Afternoon, before going to Hollywood and becoming a professional actor. He'd go on to appear in 96 film and TV appearances, and he appeared in 14 Euro Westerns. Barnes sold a pig during the Great Depression and earned the nickname Piggy. Walter was married to actress Britta Barnes and is the father of chef Michael Barnes and actress Laura Wendell. Walter died in Woodland Hills, California at the actor's home on January 6, 1998 at the age of 79. And then we have Gerhard Herder, who played the role of Baron von Schulenburg. Gerhard Herder was born in Stuttgart, Germany on April 12, 1920. He made his film debut in 1959's Galtiki, the Immortal Monster. He'd go on to appear in 36 films and TV appearances. Among them were 8 spaghetti westerns. He finished his career in 1973 with an appearance as Prince Luitpold in Ludwig. Gerhard specialized in playing villains, usually military figures. He died in Munich, Germany on February 6, 2007. He was 86. Okay, now we'll have the autograph of the week. Okay, this is the autograph of the week, and I'm going to have to read it off the card because you won't know who the heck he is. It's Jordy Nenadovic, who went by the screen name of George Heston. You've probably heard of that one in a few. He was in Frontier Hellcat, Last of the Renegades, and The Treasure of the Aztecs. Anyways, that's the autograph of the week. The book of the week. Okay, this is the book of the week, and it's invaluable. It's El Vecino West. It covers all the locations filmed in Spain of the spaghetti westerns. It has many different orders by year, by title, whether it was done in Spain, northern Spain, or southern Spain. It's by Carlo Gabersek. It's by Rebus, is the publisher. And let me see here real quick. It was done in 2007, and it's still available. Rather expensive, but if you're looking for locations, this is the book to have. Okay, that's the book of the week, and now we'll get to CD of the week. CD of the week, El Signo del Coyote, Se Sartana Vendi la Pistola y Comprare la Barra, which is Sign of the Coyote, and Sartana's Coming, Trade Your Pistol for a Coffin. The directors were Mario Cano and Anthony Ascott. The film starred Fernando Casanova, Maria Les Galicia, and George Hilton and Charles Southwood. This was released out of Italy in 1998. It's on the Beat label, number CDCR40. It has 21 tracks. Total listing time is 48 minutes and 11 seconds. The value is $8, but you can't find it for less than like $25 through a Walmart internet link, and Amazon sells a copy for $50. So if you're into collecting, this is a pretty good one, but it's expensive. Okay, now we'll turn to posters. Tom's Poster Attic. Okay, we have the Return of Hallelujah, German. It's a Rick Boyd film. Sorry about that. This is a Lincoln Tate film. If you can see it, Return of Hallelujah. It's on the third day I Ride the Crow. Book of Dollars, which was his last film. That's a window card. Then we have a Rick Boyd film. And for A Roof, A Sky Full of Stars, that's probably his biggest role. We also have him in, this is for the Film of the Week, The Big Gun Down. That's a copy of what the Spanish poster looks like. And I think I've showed this before when we did the Lee Van Cleef episode, but this is the German poster for The Big Gun Down. We also have the Belgian poster, which I think has his greatest outfit, that winter jacket that he wears with the fringe. And last but not least, most of you probably have this copy. American copy of The Big Gun Down. Okay, then we'll go to News of the Week. Okay, News of the Week. We have a couple of DVDs released this week. There's a new Italian DVD, Little Rita of the West, our favorite, titled Little Rita Nell West is the Italian title. It's directed by Ferdinando Baldi, starring Rita Pavone, Terence Hill, Gordon Mitchell. It was released by CG Entertainment. It's in Italy. It's in Italian, Dolby Digital. Running time is 98 minutes. It was released on May 10th. Also from Italy, we have Valdez Il Mezzo Sangue, which is Chino. That was directed by John Sturgis and Duilio Coletti. It starred Charles Bronson, Jill Ireland, and Marcel Bazzufi. This is from Sinister Film. It's in Italian, Dolby Digital Mono, with Italian and English subtitles. Running time is 94 minutes, and it was released on May 11th. Then there's a German DVD release, Abrechnung in Veracruz, which is Gunfight at High Noon, directed by Joaquin Luis Romero Marchant, starring Richard Harrison, Robert Hundar, Gloria Milland, and Fernando Sancho. It was released by Explosive Media. It's in German, English, and Italian with German, English, and Italian subtitles. Running time is 97 minutes. Extras include a 40-page booklet, 2 cover options, a German trailer, photo gallery, and it was released on May 12th. We have a couple of passings this week. Ulrich Weiss is a German director and screenwriter. He died in Fürst-Brandenburg, Germany on May 3rd. He was 80. Weiss became an assistant cameraman for a TV station in East Germany. From 1965 to 1968, he studied camera and then directing at the Academy for Film and Television in Potsdam, where he graduated in 1970. In 1971, Weiss became a director at DIFA's studio for short films. He directed and wrote screenplays for 11 films between 1969 and 1992. Among them was one Western, Blauvogel, which is Bluebird, 1979. Also this week, Dennis Waterman. British actor Dennis Waterman died in a Spanish hospital, I'm guessing Madrid, on May 8, 2022. He was 74. Born in Chapman, London, England on February 24, 1948, he starred in the TV shows Minder, The Sweeney, and New Tricks. He was best known for his role as bodyguard Terry McCann in ITV's Minder. His show business career spanned 60 years. He was known for singing the theme songs to many of his shows and is caricatured by David Williams in Little Britain. He was married 4 times, and his daughter Hannah Waterman played Loretta Beale in EastEnders and guest starred in New Tricks in 2007. Waterman appeared in only one Euro Western as Jamie Lowry in 1971's Man in the Wilderness, starring Richard Harris. And last but not least, we have Fernando Contreras. He was a Taberna set builder and manager of Contreras Construction Cinematográfico. He died in Almeria on May 9th, 2022. He was 76. Contreras and his family have been involved in set building for films for 3 generations. Fernando built sets for the Dollar Trilogy, The Shoe of Manitou in 2000, and 800 Bullets in 2002. But his family goes way back to the early 1950s as far as set builders in Spain. Okay, that will wrap it up for this week. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next week. In the meantime, adios, amigos.